we are joining again today. We are going to be covering this topic that we've been seeing for quite a while, and it is going to be all about food preservation and food processing. And we'll see a number of things here and there, but really, this is an easy module, okay? And I don't expect us to cram. I expect us to understand, and also feel free to ask in case of any queries or any inquiries. So, as the name suggests, we are going to be looking at food processing and also food preservation. And when we talk of processing, we are looking at the way of transforming these agricultural products into food. And we know the agricultural products, these are the ones we get which we rear our animals and etc. Yes, please. Hello. Hello. Is someone communicating?
Miss
Not
Rual is having issues with his microphone. If he has anything, let him try to text. Because the moment he opens his mic, we are receiving something which is not right.
hearing anyone.
Right, try to text. Your mic is not good. Okay, you can continue.
Hello.
It's all right, Mr. Robert.
Oh,
I don't know, is it network or what? I don't get him. Hello?
the screen right now. Okay.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Like I said, we were looking at this module, and I told you we are going to be looking at food processing and preservation. And we had said that when we talk about processing, we are looking at those various methods or those various techniques that we use to transform these agricultural products, or what we could call the raw materials, into consumable and finished foods. Also, we are talking about changing one form of that food to other different forms. And when we talk about preservation, really here we are looking at preventing spoilage, okay? Looking at all those other mechanisms and other measures that we would employ or we would put in place to enable our foods to live or to extend their shelf life. And we'll look at the different types of preservation methods, as well as we'll also be looking at the different types of processing mechanisms that we would employ. And really, like I had said, we are also looking at the different aims of this. One is to slow down the spoilage in regards to food preservation, but also we are looking at preventing those foodborne illnesses that could happen or that could come due to microorganisms or that bacteria that is embedded into the food, and also while maintaining the nutritional value and also the texture and also the flavor. We understand the roles of these different properties of foods, things to do with the nutrition value, the nutritive value, and also looking at things to do with to be indicated to an individual or to an invalid, and also looking at the different types of flavors that the foods do give off, and also but then things to do with the nutritive value, the sensory quality of food, those are things at least that the food preservation should be able to meet. And also we're looking at reduction in chemical, physical, and also the physiological changes of these different foodstuffs. We'll look at those different foodstuffs, things to do with the milk and etc. Mostly those nutritious foods that undergo a lot of chemical changes, for example, the acidity of fats and etc. And also we are looking at preservation being one way of eliminating contamination of these foods. We know that different types of contamination, the cross-contamination of foods and etc. But also we aim to increase the shelf life of foods or the amount of time the food takes to go bad. We aim to increase it, so that is one of the reasons of food preservation. So aims, reason, goals, importance, there could be just a few things to mix in there with the English and semantics. Okay, but also we are trying as much as possible to ensure food supply during times of scarcity. Right now, people have been pushing the global warming agenda and etc. But still, we are looking at the different types of calamities that we are facing, leading to emergencies left, right, center. So ensuring that this food supply is there during these scarce moments, then we look at preservation coming in handy. Then this will not only look at us as people who are doing the nutrition course, but also would go into the other fields of people doing agriculture. Look at also those post-harvest handling mechanisms, but also when it comes to you, you would advise people on the different forms of preservation and how they would use preservation to make sure the food is still there. Now, however much when we say that there are nutrient losses when we preserve food, but then at least the calorie content is still intact. Okay, we don't expect to see people getting malnourished and all those other things. Then also lengthening the life phase of the bacteria that we will see for the time the time delay it takes for the bacteria to mature. Okay, yeah, and also delay the undesirable photolysis. All right. Also, we are looking at minimizing pest damage and physical damage, but also we are looking at preventing that microbial action that happens to the foods. Okay. So when we prevent this, we will automatically lead to increasing the shelf life of food, etc. And we are saying all this contributes to a more reliable and nutritious and accessible food supply. Okay, yeah. So all those are really the aims and the goals of food preservation. So what are the objectives of food processing? When we talk about food processing, yes, someone please mute. Okay, so when we talk about the objectives of food processing, we are looking at the removal of unwanted matter and making food safe for consumption. We could argue that also preservation, processing sometimes and preservation work hand in hand, but really here we are looking at removing that unwanted matter or making that food safe for consumption. And like I told us, when we talk of that processing, still whatever is removed, sometimes it is wanted, sometimes it's unwanted, but we are trying as much as possible to change, okay, to change that food or transform those raw ingredients into consumable food products. And you will see why we do this. And for the reason we do this is we process increasing the digestibility of food. We have the cellulose that is present in some foods, and we do not possess the cellulase enzyme that is capable of breaking down that. So removing all those outer layers and outer coverings on food, making it easier for our digestive juices, the HCl, and also the enzymes, the renin, the pepsin, and etc., to be able to work on those different foods. There needs to be a processing to happen. And also, we are looking at enhancing flavor and color and taste. For example, the easiest example I can give is of bananas or matoke. No one can eat that matoke with that covering on it. But when you remove or you peel that matoke, what you're eating inside has a little bit good color, and also the taste is a little bit good. But also, we're looking at improving the texture and the consistency of the foods. These all come in handy when you're dealing with different foods. For example, if you're also indicating these foods to people, to invalids, for example, texture of a winning food and etc. Well, you could understand that those as partly the objectives of this food processing uh, area. Minimizing nutrient loss, that is also one to do with food processing. In food processing, however much like we are talked about in preservation, that there would be nutrient losses, but we are trying as much as possible to minimize these even in processing. That is why, as people taking the nutrition course, we understand that we really need to talk about you eating those whole foods, not eating the highly refined foods and etc. But well, we also say that processing will also act in tandem with the preservation bit, looking at extending the shelf life and also increasing the acceptability through fabricated foods. So, what are the factors that cause food deterioration? One of the factors that we really talk about, and this is which is most key, we are looking at microorganisms. And these we are looking at these being the pathogens that could cause these foodborne illnesses. Okay, and we are saying these microorganisms grow in when we talk of room temperature, really we are trying as much as possible to talk about those temperatures that make a living condition for human being, where human beings feel comfortable, where the average human being feels comfortable, really. Okay. Yeah, and we are saying we are looking at around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. This is where the foodborne illnesses will develop around. This is where the microorganisms will develop that will cause the foodborne illnesses. When we talk of these foodborne illnesses, we are looking at consuming those foods that have these pathogens, which would not only include the viruses and the bacteria, but also the excreta that comes from them, and also those parasites that could be there. And the common ones we understand, looking at the salmonella, etc. And also we are looking at these microorganisms being able to cause the spoilage, and also since most of them grow at lower temperatures, but also remember when we talk of preservation, we could inactivate them using the freezing method. And we are saying these microorganisms cause noticeable changes in the appearance, odor, and also the taste of of the different foodstuffs. For example, if bread goes by bad and okay, you get spoiled bread, okay, that has started having those are they brown or are they bluish? Okay, the color looks a little bit bluish on the edges or what we call the crusts of the bread. Then you start to suspect that there is fungal growth that is happening, and really, even by testing this food, you understand that there could be issues to do with rotting taking place, okay, or the different food going bad. Okay. All right, so now let's shift gears and look at enzymes. However, we could have also looked at the different forms of these microorganisms that are present. Sorry, we could have also looked at the microorganisms that are present in the foods that lead to the food going bad. So, for example, things to do with the Salmonella species, which we'll see later on, and we will also understand how to avoid those risks that come with these foods, and also what type of diseases that we could get from this. All right. So, what are the factor? One of the other factors besides the microorganisms that causes food deterioration, we are looking at enzymes. Okay, and we are saying these are naturally present in food, and also they play a significant role really in this food spoilage. Really looking at their, we know what the enzymes do. These catalyze biological reactions. Okay, they act as catalysts, breaking down the substrate into the product and the byproduct or the waste. And here, when we undergo these biochemical reactions, this could lead to the degradation in the food quality. Okay, so these enzymes still are the ones that are responsible for the ripening in fruits and also the yellowing of those vegetables. And we are saying that with their biochemical reactions, these would lead to affecting the texture and the color and also the flavor of food. And these could originate from internally produced naturally within the food, but also we are looking at those external sources, okay, that could happen maybe during storage and etc. And number of enzymes are there where we could talk about the proteases that break down the proteins into smaller peptides and amino acids and etc. and where they look to be present. But also we are looking at browning of bananas. That is the easiest one that we would look at when we talk about enzyme reactions, etc. All right. Another factor that causes food deterioration, we are looking at air, where we are looking at oxidation. That is really one of the undesirable changes that happens to the foodstuffs, and we will look at this in detail. But also we talk about it affecting the color, the flavors, and also the nutrients. For example, rancidity of fats, and when fats go rancid, this is one of the easiest ways that we can say that the way air, uh, when foods are exposed to air and then they pick up oxygen, that is one of the key things that we could talk about. And I think it would be a good thing for you to understand that not only are we talking about it referring to this, but also the microorganisms themselves. They require this supply of air and also a supply of oxygen. For example, the aerobic ones to be able to carry out their activity so that they lead to food spoilage. But when we talk about oxidation, really we understand that rancidity of fats could happen. When we talk of rancidity, really we are just looking at the change that comes with this way where the fats become giving off those of flavors, the odors, and also those potentially harmful compounds. Okay, and really, when we talk of oxidative rancidity, which could be the major one, we are looking at these fats reacting with oxygen. Okay, yeah, mostly the unsaturated fats that react with oxygen, and you will go interest yourselves and look at them in detail. Also, let's look at light. Light can cause color and vitamin loss. Some of these chemicals or some of these compounds are very sensitive to light, and this could also lead to further oxidation, like we had seen earlier. Other factors we could look at these insects, the rodents. Rodents, we are looking at the rats, the parasites, and also other creatures. These damage foods by nibbling on them, breaking them, the weevils, etc. For example, you've stored your beans, but then you will find that the next time you're going to open, the rat is inside, the cockroach is inside, and God knows where they've come from and whatever other contaminants they're coming with. So this makes the food susceptible to spoilage, since some of them leave their saliva onto the foods and then the foods come. Also, physical damage such as the bruises and cracks, these allow microbial growth, and also improper packaging exposes food to air, light, and other creatures that we've seen that are some of the other factors uh, that are key for food deterioration. The other thing we would look at here would be the temperature. We've looked at air, we've looked at light, we've looked at microorganisms, and also we've looked at temperature right now. And we are saying here we are looking at higher temperatures accelerate deterioration. Okay, when we talk about deterioration of food, really we are looking at food spoilage. Okay, uh, higher temperatures also lead to deterioration of food. However, also some foods won't do well in very low temperatures. So when we are looking at the recommended storage temperatures, we are looking at, for example, around 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit for cupboard, but also looking at the refrigeration around 35 to 40 degrees. And for the freezer, we don't expect you to have a freezer that is anything that is not less than zero. At least the freezing point of water, we understand that the different liquids have different freezing points, but different foods to get, to attract these microorganisms. So here we are looking at a time, and also other deterioration processes also take some time. The circulation bit of these microorganisms all over those foods, and also being able to cause that spoilage should also be taken account of. And we are also saying the only way we could work on this is buy only what you will use and avoid storage for long. Okay, you see, even preservation can only do so much. Even you're not going to preserve something for 10 years unless it is wine. I think it is only those fermented products, the wines that people are willing to preserve for 100 years and then sell expensively. Because for people who take wine, understand that uh, the older the wine, the more expensive and the more sweet the wine is. Okay, so let's look at let's look at excuse me. Let's look at methods of food preservation right now, and we are saying that we are looking at one being able to prevent or to delay the microbial decomposition, and we are looking at asepsis. Okay, asepsis, so keeping microorganisms out. And for asepsis, really, this you could also hear it in the medical perspective, really looking at finding a way of preventing contamination by harmful living organisms. In most cases, this happens when we are in those surgical wards where when a surgery is going to be performed, etc. But also, we could look at it in the area of food safety, being able to minimize infection that could be caused by the pathogens that could lead to spoilage. In this, we'll look at the different types of sepsis that we could come with. Okay, trying as much as possible to eliminate these microorganisms. Okay, so and also looking at ways of hindering the growth of these microorganisms, things to do with the sterilization, the disinfections, etc., and also sanitization. A number of people have looked at those things are in detail. So really, accept this. We are trying as much as possible to remove this. And for our case, as looking at food safety, we are looking at ensuring cleanliness of hands and also remember we are not only looking at preservation but also processing. And for our processing bit, we are looking at sterile conditions that will help us extend place properly for growth, but also ensuring that the foods are dry. This drying of food will reduce the water activity. As you will see later on, that water activity plays a key role in will also hinder growth for the aerobic bacteria, but for the anaerobe, still they will thrive. But also the chemicals such as the antimicrobials come in handy. Right. And also, since we are still looking at killing of these microorganisms using the heat, the pasteurization and sterilization, really, we are looking at the different types of heat treatment where the microorganisms will be exposed to, and this will kill them through denaturing their membranes and etc. And also the radiation. Really, radiation, a few people have given it uh, thoughts and understanding that some rays are not favorable to growth of microorganisms. Still, this is where also people have added things to do with microwaves and etc. And also, we are looking at preventing or delaying self decomposition. We are looking at enzyme inactivation. Okay, where we are looking at blanching to be able these enzymes. Sorry, and also to blanching to be able to denature the enzymes. So when we expose these enzymes to heat, when we expose these foods to heat, sorry, for a short period of time, so this cooking process, which is called blanching, sorry, in most cases, this could be done to vegetables. And I think you've seen that happen to vegetables and tomatoes, where they are immersed in boiling water and then cooled very rapidly under ice water. So that will inactivate and denature those enzymes. And also, in an avenue to prevent delay, in an avenue to prevent and also delay self decomposition, we are looking at using these antioxidants to slow down oxidation of foods. But also the physical methods, we are looking at the refrigeration, we are looking at pasteurization, the drying, the irradiation, antimicrobials, but also for the biological methods, we are looking at fermentation. Fermentation gives off alcohol. Alcohol is also one that we use for sterilization. At the end of the day, that alcohol that is produced will help us extend the shelf life of that food, if at all it is suitable for that food. If a different food gives off the alcohol, then we will contraindicate it. But if a food that gives off alcohol and it's desirable for it, then well and good. So drying, when we talk about drying, we are saying this is one of the natural ways of preserving food by removing moisture. And we've seen moisture or water activity, moisture and water activity a little bit different, and we'll understand why. But we are saying moisture is one of the properties that are required by microorganisms to thrive. So naturally, by removing this moisture, you're trying as much as possible to prolong the shelf life of these particular foods. And we're saying was used since ancient times for fruits, for fish, and for meat. I think most of us have eaten that dry meat. But also, if you've not eaten the dry meat, then you've eaten the fish. At least for people who eat silverfish, here we call it muken in Uganda. At least some of you have eaten a food that has been preserved using this mechanism. And we are saying it is a traditional method using sunlight and also low humidity. And we are saying this is suitable for specific climates and certain foods, such as the fruits, nuts, and the limitation we are saying this relies on specific weather conditions. Hello. All right. We are saying this relies on specific weather conditions. For example, we won't be putting our things outside to dry, or we won't be drying these foods when we are having a rain pattern. Okay. So, also we are saying the drying process is slower if things are being put outside there for the sun. Sometimes it will get cloudy, so we do not have control over when these particular foods will have lost the moisture content that will warrant them to extend their shelf life. So, pre-treatment for drying, we are looking at some foods that are benefit from this pre-treatment to dry. So, what you do to those foods before you put them out there. So, the food, some of them, when you treat them first, we are looking at you will be able to increase the porosity. Porosity meaning now the foods are more porous. Okay, porous in that they will be able to lose the moisture through their pores quickly, and also improve the rehydration after drying. You really need to have some water content in them, though you remove the water content to increase their shelf life, but then you want them to have some water content in them before you eat them. For example, these treatments you're looking at the blanching, like I talked about it, but also we are looking at cutting, being able to also increase the porosity, but also we are looking at pulping, I should say. Okay, when I talk about pulping here, we are looking at really in food processing, we are looking at breaking down of those fruits, and also we are really looking at the way of breaking down of those fruits and vegetables into those semi-liquid opioid forms, and this is referred to as a pulp. So we try as much as possible to increase the surface area for evaporation to happen. So what are the changes during drying? We expect shrinkage to happen since starting on the surface, progressing inwards, it is losing moisture. So the moisture content going away, we expect the food to reduce in size, I should say. So rapid drying can cause hard surface and also a moist core. Cracks and pores, so these could form due to shrinkage. Okay, the foods could crack, and also gradual drying minimizes core hardening and also pore clogging. And also moisture retention. Foods high in sugar or lacking structure may appear moist. Okay, so minimizing these changes requires the appropriate drying methods and also drying techniques. Okay, so drying methods, we are looking at the various forms of the drying methods that exist for both the liquids and also the solid states of food. So common categories, we have the air convention drying, the drum drying, the vacuum drying, and also these will get us pictorials the next engagement. Okay, so for the air convention drying, we are looking at hot air removing moisture from the food. Okay, so this is applicable to liquids, sprayed or poured, and also the solids. Okay, so this is where we look at the tray dryers, the spray dryers, and etc. For the drum drying, this is ideal for liquids, the purees, and also mashes, and also the pulps. So we are looking at a thin layer of food applied to be heated in a rotating drum. So the drum is getting heat from all avenues. In this way, we are looking at the dried food being scraped off after drying. Okay, it is drying within the drum that is being rolled over the heat source. So this is suitable for heat-resistant food due to its cost effectiveness, like kind of barbecue style. But now we are looking at the drying bit of it. So vacuum drying, we are saying this one is the most expensive, but also produces the highest quality of the dried food products. So here the food is heated by conduction and radiation in a vacuum chamber. So what are the advantages of this vacuum drying? Okay, so this preserves the heat-sensitive foods such as the milk, the eggs, and the coffee, but also minimizes flavor change since it is all the flavors are trapped in the vacuum, and also minimizes the heat damage. It also creates a puffed structure that is really easy for rehydration. Right. So, what are the benefits of these dried foods? When we dry foods, first of all, like I say that they shrink, and when they shrink, they will lose weight. So, these are lightweight and compact, make it easy for you to bulk them up and store them, and also transport them to different places where you will transact business or where you will supply them. And also, this we are looking at increasing their shelf life and also their long-term storage. And also these are convenient for emergency supplies. Uh, I'm forgetting. Last time in Uganda, we had, I don't know what they call those fruits that come from Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I'm forgetting how they are called. Uh, they are not tulips. They are, I don't know whether you've seen them in those supermarkets when you go. Uh, are they called raisins? I'm not so sure, but they are dried fruits that usually come from Saudi Arabia. So initially we had a spell in Karamoja region where the people were starting to die of hunger because of obviously poor government policies and etc., leading to shortages of food that side. So the government from the United Arab Emirates sent in those dried fruits, and our people were able to use them and utilize them since they were spending a lot of time. Remember, they have an increased shelf life, and also they give off high energy, but also with a low glycemic index. So they are releasing the energy slowly. It was really a good intervention. You could look it up. So reconstitution of these dried foods, this is the process of rehydrating these dried foods in water. The example of these reconstituted foods, we are looking at mushrooms, we are looking at the beans. In most cases, we can also give you salt. So salt was a bigger commodity. We all understand we understand the terms of trade. Whatever is going to be used as a medium of exchange should be as rare as possible until money came in and etc. And we are saying this salt inhibits microbial growth by drawing water out of the bacterial cells through osmosis. We know osmosis. Okay, what happens at osmosis? Liquid leaving areas of high concentration to go to leaving low concentration areas going to high concentration areas. Okay. Hopefully, I'm not confusing this osmosis with diffusion. Diffusion, I think, mostly is in gases, right? But I think it is the other form, the other way around. All right. When we talk of when we talk about osmosis here, we are looking at really molecules moving across a semi-permeable membrane from a lower concentration to a higher concentration. Like I had said, but then that's where we talk about the salts, the solids and solvents and etc. Okay, so when we talk about this way the salt works, we are looking at drawing water from bacterial cells, and also this will cause dehydrating of the bacteria and also disrupting the bacterial cell was, like I said, in high cell concentration. So when these bacteria are destroyed, when these bacterial cells are destroyed, then we'll look at reduction in microbial growth, leading to reduction in spoilage. So, the action of smoking in preserving food, still here we're looking at it removing the moisture and also inhibiting the bacterial and the fungal growth, but also it puts in that flavor, it imparts in that flavor. Some people really like to eat that smoked meat and etc. But also, this will help us in repelling those rodents and also those other organisms, the insects that come to the food, since it will be giving off that tar-like texture and etc. and smell. Okay, all right. So, what are the methods of salting? We had looked at salting earlier on, but also we had looked at smoking. We've seen the effect of we had seen the effect of salting, but also we had seen the effect of smoking. We had looked at salting being the applying of sodium chloride, and what does the sodium chloride do? It drains the bacterial cells or the microorganisms' moisture content using through the process of osmosis, but also some of them rupture the cell walls of these microorganisms in high salt states. Okay. Methods of sorting, we are looking at this to test. This is an essential method in most recipes. Okay. Or recipes, some of you could call it, but me I call it recipes. So adding salt gradually during cooking, gives us an account for the flavor changes. Okay, some people really take in a lot of salt, but this is where you remember when we're looking at our diet therapy. Okay, the different diet therapies we're looking at, and we saw when salt is indicated and when it's contraindicated. But also in preservation, in the curing of meats, here we're looking at the osmosis, like I told you, but also diffusion distributes moisture back into the meat, keeping it juicy. All right. Sorry. In the brining, when we talk about brining, we are looking at soaking of meat in the salt water, okay, or in that salt water solution, which we call brine. So this one preserves the flavor and also tenderizes the meat. We understand that sometimes the structures of the meat are very stiff, but this tenderizing of the meat could come in handy when we are preparing food for the invalids, people with jaw problems, and etc. For the children. And the brine ratio, we are looking at one quarter of water, and also half a cup of kosher salt, and half a cup of sugar. And here we are saying variations. Like this is dependent on which particular recipe you're using and etc. So salt crustings. Salt crusting, we're looking at covering food, which is meat or vegetables, in a thick salt layer before baking. Okay, and this will help us trap the moisture inside the food for even cooking. All right. So crusting a fish with salt, here we are looking at an example, a flavorful and also moist roasting method. We are looking at the whole fish, about 4 pounds. We are looking at olive oil being one of the ingredients, but also the kosher salt or sea salt. When we talk of kosher salt, we are looking at that salt that forgetting, are they the Jews? I think it is the Jews, the salt that these Jews find kosher, something like that. Okay. It is just something to do with that. All right. Sorry. All right. Like I had said that when we talk of this crusting of a fish, we are giving an example. We are looking at a flavorful or moist roasting method with the ingredients, looking at the whole fish, which is 4 pounds, looking at olive oil, this kosher salt, or sea salt, or any normal salt. But I feel even this kosher means the normal salt that we really take, or the kitchen salt, regardless, that has those finer grains, and also that salt that is edible with the food. Right. So here we are looking at you preheating the oven to about 230 degrees centigrade, then lightly coating the fish with the olive oil, and also then placing the fish in the baking dish. Then pack a quarter-inch of layer of the salt and the seawater over the fish's surface as you're brushing it. Then gently press gently to adhere the salt, and repeat in the also in the second layer, I should say. Right. So basically, this is just a simple recipe on how to prepare or on how to crust this fish, putting the olive oil and the kosher salt into play. So you ensure that the salt is packed tightly and also avoid damaging the fish. Bake for 30
So
minutes. Remove from the oven. Yes.
we are not seeing the slides. They're not on screen.
The slides are not moving.
Yeah.
Oh, where did I lose you? Which number? Which slide number are you on? Did you see the slide? Hello?
Yes.
You saw this
It's
slide,
not
right?
appearing on this. They're not appearing on the screen.
Looks like I'm sharing this side. I don't know.
Hmm.
Is everyone not seeing?
I think this is maybe a network. The what I seen is now crashing a picture. Crashing a sol picture
Yes.
sol, that is the what is now in the script.
Yes, that is what is on the screen that I'm also talking about.
So we mean the
Could be network.
we mean they have a problem with network.
Oh, you guys, sorry, our sister. I think you're having network challenges here and there. But let's wrap it up. And we are saying that we are looking at this small example of crusting of the fish, but also we had looked at the amount of ingredients you're supposed to use, the fish, the olive oil, and also the table salt. And we are looking at you preheating the oven, 450 degrees Fahrenheit to 230 centigrade, lightly coating the fish with the olive oil, placing the fish in the baking dish, and also looking at you ensuring that this salt is packed tightly to avoid the damaging of the fish. Then you bake for 30 minutes, remove from the oven, and also and crack the salt crust with a wooden spoon. Then discard the salt crust and drizzle the fish with olive oil, then serve immediately. We don't expect you to eat all that salt that you've used in the crusting process, because this could bring those health effects, the ones that you will know of. So, what are the benefits of salt crusting? No additional seasoning is needed, since this salt will penetrate the fish, so you don't need to go further into adding seasoning. But also, this will give you moist and also flavorful flesh due to the steam that is being trapped in. Remember the baking here, the heat is through conduction. So we are not seeing any evaporation of the steam. So you eat a really nice fish. Right, so-called smoking. So this is a technique where we're using low temperature smoking. Okay, so the food is cured at a low temperature of around 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 degrees centigrade. Smoke adds flavor and also some benefits. Okay, so what are the smoke components here? We are looking at wood smoke contains hundreds of volatile chemical compounds. Okay, and the different wood types impart distinct flavors and also And also we are looking at temperature and moisture content. You well know that some wood trees have different oils within them. Some of them are even susceptible to combustion and all those other things. So those are things we need to take into consideration when we are choosing the type of wood to do the smoking. Okay, so optimal smoke flavor comes from low temperature, smoldering fires of 300 to 400 degrees centigrade. All right. What are the factors that are affecting smoke absorption? These factors that prevent or also increase the amount of smoke that the food is going to be able to take in. We have the smoke density, we have the humidity, we have the moisture content of that particular food, and we are saying at higher smoke density and humidity, this will lead to greater absorption of the smoke. And also, we are saying that the dried food surface or the dry surfaces absorb less smoke flavor compared to those that are a little bit watery, okay, yeah, or less dry. And also these lose preservative effects. And we are saying moist surfaces hinder color formation, but these will improve uh, uh, absorption. You will see that most dried surfaces, once are exposed to smoke and a little heat, they will start browning. But if a moist surface is exposed to heat, really the color does not form as much. Okay. Preservative components in smoke, we are saying they are phenolic compounds that act as antioxidants and antimicrobials that prevent these microbes from growing, but also antimicrobials including this formaldehyde, the acetic acid, and also the carboxylic acids that are present that prevent these microorganisms from developing and etc. So liquid smoke concentrates these preservative chemicals that are used in cases where we are not able to get the smoke. So what are the health considerations of smoking? We understand that smoking may contain harmful carcinogen compounds, okay, that could lead to cancers and etc. And also, we're looking at the nitrogen oxides that can react with food components and form these nitrosamines, which have a health concern to an individual. So, the tasteless smoke, we're looking at this being a patented method. When you talk of patents, you need to seek, you need to seek, let's say, you need to seek permission before using this method for commercial purposes. And we are saying this is a patented method for preserving fish using the filtered smoke. Okay, so the filters remove particles, odor, and also color components. The remaining gases, which is really the nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and also the methane, have some preservative effects. So the carbon dioxide reacts with the pigments to create a temporary cherry red color in fish, and this method is approved in the European Union. Okay, so like I had said, it is patented. So for you to use it in anything you're doing that is going to be money making, you need to seek consent and also regulation from those places. All right. So, well, we are saying that concerns about this tasteless smoke, we are saying a potential for misleading consumers and masking spoilage. So, the tasteless smoke, while approved in some regions, issues brings issues and also concerns about the consumer perceptions of freshness, because you can never tell what is fresh and what is not fresh. And we are saying this carbon monoxide. Cherry red color in fish may also lead to consumers, may mislead consumers about the product's actual freshness. So you can never know, and also leads to enhancing the appearance of lower quality of this fish that the individuals are going to consume. Okay. Still furthermore, we are looking at this carbon monoxide treatment can mask color changes, can also mask the visual signs of spoilage, and also we are looking at potential safety hazards such as the histamine productions, and we saw what histamine does in increasing those allergic reactions and etc. We are seeing however much the United States allows carbon monoxide treatment of fresh meat at low concentrations. The Food and Drug Authority considers this as tasteless smoke preservative requiring specific labeling or untreated fish, and the decision by the Food and Drug Authority has been challenged. So we are saying that whereas some countries are adopting this, but they are saying, please, much as possible, label those foods so that people can know that you treated or you preserve this food using this technique. So for the liquid smoke, we are saying this liquid smoke condensates smoke from the burning wood, often purified or concentrated. So we are saying one of the advantages is it's consistent in flavoring and also reduced undesirable products that could come in when this type of sorry we are saying for this liquid smoke to be used, we are saying liquid smoke condensates, which is smoke from burning wood, often purified or concentrated. Okay. And we are saying this offers advantages over the traditional smoking. We are looking at one of the advantages being consistent flavoring, but also reducing the undesirable products, such as such as these PAH, what you could call the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and etc. And those are the group of organic compounds that could come with our aromatic rings for people who have done some chemistry, etc. So, and also this will increase the processing time of the foods. Lastly, we are looking at this can be used in various forms, mixed directly into the food, applied as a powder, sprayed as a mist, and it is. And we are saying this may require combination with short smoking for desired color and taste. So this brings us to the end of today's engagement. However, there are different forms, and I'm saying uh, uh, we could not finish all things to do with the preservation, but this is just a brief of what we are supposed to be looking at. And tentatively, we will be having these engagements usually this same time from 7 to 8, because it is 8:28 this side. So I don't know what time it is that side, but then this side it is 8:28. So from 7 to 8, let's always be around to have this engagement. Unless I have a question from any of you, I beg to end this engagement here. Okay, is there anything or there is nothing? If there is nothing, then I wish you a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Robert. Yeah, there is nothing. I don't want to ask any question, but actually, I'm just begging if you can just add this note to our platform, it can be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that administrators will share that because still I get most of this teaching material from them. So I believe they will share.
Okay.
These notes are already in the they are already shared. If you're enrolled, you can get them.
Oh, so Jacob, I think you enroll, find out enrolling, and then you will access the notes.
I'm enrolled actually, but in my models, when I check this one, the course material is empty, nothing in it.
Maybe for that I would only to send you to consult the administration. Really, I do not have a lot of privileges on the course materials that you have. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
could consult Samuel. I think it would help you.
Okay.
All right. So, friends, I think have a good night. Let me log on to something else.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Let's meet tomorrow.
Okay.